Hello, everyone, dear students, dear prospective students and colleagues. My name is Nataša Stanišić, and today I will talk about the topic English for specific purposes, namely challenges and trends. Before I start with today's presentation, I would like to share a quote written by an American journalist, Laura Lewis, where she says actually that learning another language is not only learning different words for the same things, but learning another way to think about things. Why I've chosen this saying is that it is widely applicable to today's topic, the topic regarding English for specific purposes. When we compare it to general English, the English language teenagers and young adults are usually exposed to, we could say that general English focuses more on day-to-day conversation, and it involves, I would say so, the use of everyday vocabulary and related grammar. On the other hand, English for specific purposes is more extensive and specific. It is mainly used as a language tool for specific professions, as it is applied in a more professional context. English for specific purposes courses have been designed usually for more mature learners, either in an expert work situation or at a tertiary stage institution. And on the other hand, we could say that those courses have been usually designed for the students of intermediate and graduation level. I would actually say that, first of all, English for specific purposes concentrates more on language in context than on teaching grammar and language structures. On the following slide, we shall actually see all the fields it extends through, like science and technology, then medical purposes, legal purposes, then management, finance, economics, with more narrow fields like accounting, audit, human resource management, English for job hunting, tourism, and hospitality. I would say when it comes to teachers, first of all, because they are the key figures in classrooms, that there are numerous challenges for them when teaching English for specific purposes. Both teachers that teach specific purposes English and general English need to consider linguistics development. Then also they should follow the position and role of language learners, and also development of technologies. They need to be updated all the time with technologies, as well as labor market changes. Because due to development of technology, labor market has been changing widely throughout previous years. Some jobs disappeared, whereas the new ones appeared on the labor market. And we need to keep pace with all those changes, because English language teachers, especially those involved in the field of English for specific purposes, need to be updated on all these changes as to be able to provide necessary courses, techniques, and language teaching methodologies, which will be both useful and interesting and very challenging to prospective learners. Also, when it comes to teachers, They need to provide variety of materials, modified, unmodified. Also, they can take many internet resources. And I would also give a piece of advice in terms of good collaboration with their colleagues who actually operate in field of economics, tourism and hospitality management, law, because when it comes to translation especially, I would take as an example legal language. There are huge differences between our legal system in the Republic of Serbia and Anglo-Saxon system. And then there are some difficulties when translating those texts and explaining them to students. Also, when it comes to audit and accounting, I think that the colleagues who work in those fields, economists, could be a good source of help to English teachers. I would actually also say that during these courses, the teachers are ones who simulate different situations in which students are actively involved. For example, I can give you something that my colleagues use here at Singidunum University, where we simulate job interviews, CV and cover letter writing, launching products on the market, writing, advertising and commercials in the English language, calculating balance sheets, and many other things. So actually we simulate the real life situations, by which means we are trying to involve our students more we can into acquisition of the language itself. Due to that, I would say that when it comes to learners and students, even to high school students, they are very motivated when learning English for specific purposes, especially those who study economics, tourism and hospitality management, IT as well, because actually they have already chosen their path in the life. And the part of the English which will be involved in that path actually covers everything they need one day on the labor market. Actually, I would say that learners, students are motivated by a field already known and relevant to them. Actually, the more learners pay attention to the meaning of the language they hear or read, the more they are successful. The more they have to focus on the linguistics input or isolated language structures, the less they're motivated to attend their classes. Actually, I would say that learners of the English for specific purposes are pretty much aware of the purpose for which they will need to use English. Having already oriented their education toward a specific field, they see their English training as complementing their orientation. Knowledge of the subject area enables the students to identify a real context for the vocabulary and structures of the English for specific purposes classrooms. In such way, the learners can take advantage of what they already know about the subject matter to learn English. So actually, I would say that the motivation in their actually learning is rising over time, because they identify their internal interests with the language they learn. Also, they are aware of the fact that they can apply everything they learn in the classroom to real life situations, actually to the work environment. Because as I already said, these courses are usually created for mature adults, also to tertiary sector students, and the ones who are already working, who are present on the labor market. That's why they compare the things they learn in the classroom of English for specific purposes and real life situations. I would actually say when it comes to business English, I mentioned at the beginning on today's lecture that it differs widely for general in comparison to general English. And I would actually say since the language has been changing widely to the internet technological developments, that the business English is a global business communication tool. I would say actually that it is not just about learning new vocabulary. Of course, it does involve this, but there is a great deal more than that. In fact, it is all about the acquisition of an international communication skill set using the medium of the English language. Most people using business English in the global workplace are non-native English speakers from a variety of cultures, languages, and nationalities, all using what has become, in fact, the national language of planet Earth. Therefore, I would emphasize the role of business English, actually its cross-cultural role. And I would say actually that good business English trainer will have an acute awareness of this and will adapt the use of English to the trainee's culture rather than the other way round. So I would say actually that it is not something about to learn totally new language. It is about learning the language we already know in a practical business and professional context. Also, when it comes to different disciplines include in English for specific purposes, I would say it is the language of tourism and hospitality management, legal English, then marketing, finance and audit. We actually teach all these fields at our studies at Singidunum University. And on the following slides, I just gave you some examples how my colleagues do that in the classrooms. When it comes to tourism and hospitality management, sometimes it's interesting to start something that is very typical of all young people today. So if you decide to travel, will you describe yourselves as a traveler or a tourist? What is the difference between those two? So tell me, are you traveling light, or how do you decide what to pack? So by introducing the topic we are going to talk about, we just introduce some traveling expressions and idioms which could be useful to learners and to students. When it comes to traveler or tourists, as these two ladies, we can see whether one of them travels light or the other one does not travel light. The travel is the movement of people from different geographical locations. It could be business travel, pleasure travel, education, visiting travel on one hand, and on the other hand, tourism. It is actually a travel limited to holiday activities only. The traveler as a person likes experiences, new cultures. They interact with locals and try to speak their language. On the other hand, tourists like staying in comfort zone, visiting only tourist attraction and guided tours. When you prepare yourself for traveling, is it kitchen sink or traveling? What would you answer me now? I would say, for example, a colleague of ours, we were going on a vacation for a week, and our colleague John insisted on taking everything but the kitchen sink. So actually, he wanted to take a lot of things with him. So by describing the way how students or how you prepare yourselves for traveling, you will learn some new idioms and expressions which are typical for tourism sector. Now we shall move a little bit to the legal English. Sometimes when I start teaching this course, at our study program in linguistics, sometimes students cannot find the bond between the real life and law and order, or actually the general life. What I actually ask them is to make the bond between their daily routines and to apply them to the types of different laws. Then what I ask them actually, you get up in the morning, right, out of your bed. And then I would actually say that you bought your bed once time, so the law of contracts in the buying and selling process was applied. Then the bed you bought is standing in a flat or a house which is either rented. So if it is rented, we can apply the law on lease agreement, or if the flat or house is owned, we can apply the property law. So actually it is everywhere around us. Even if you don't study the faculty for law, you can apply everything you learn in the classroom to real life situations. Also, I would say that when you get dressed, especially ladies who pay a lot of attention to it, it is also the law of contracts concerning how you bought the clothes you wear. Then young people, especially those at prior to graduation ceremony, maybe some of them will get married soon. And usually what became popular today is to write down prenuptial agreement, which is prior to marriage. So many of them laugh at that. Maybe you'll be as well when you hear this. But it is also one interesting instance what the prenuptial agreement is and why two people who are in love decide to write it down. And as for the, I would say, last section, we shall go to the management. Also to the corporate culture. When we start here at Singidunum University, business English courses, namely management, business economics, marketing, HR, finance and banking, we start with the unit called corporate culture. It is widely known item in the world of business, and we know that all big companies, well-known companies, are actually distinguished by their corporate culture. One of them is, of course, Google company. I actually wanted by this video to show you where you can apply English for specific purposes and to see actually the language used in real life, the language used by non-native speakers, and how actually the corporate culture you could read about, you can listen to your professors, looks in real life. Actually, before we continue with the video, I sincerely actually hope that you will have become interested in the topic I've been talking about, and that actually one day maybe you will be highly motivated by that.
Google is kind of a unique company for me and I think for a lot of people that work there. What Google does is it allows you a fantastic environment to be innovative and to get your product developed really quickly. It is a very different structure than the rest of the engineering community.
We always really try to avoid bureaucracy so that people can really do what makes sense in their project.
One thing that's great about Google is that you have a lot of autonomy of your product and its directions.
We're encouraged to work on whatever we think is important. Often the best ideas come from employees.
At Google, if you come in your first week and you have a good idea on how things should be done, and people agree with you, in that first week you can start making those changes.
The biggest resource is definitely the people.
It's very young and very vibrant.
This amazing combination of a corporate campus and a university playground. There's a lap pool, there are pool tables, there are mini kitchens throughout the campus so that you can get a bite to eat whenever you want to. There's a dry cleaning facility, there's a laundry facility. You can bring your dogs to work.
We have yoga, we have Pilates.
I love massages, I'm a spa queen.
Let me mention the food.
Food, by the way, is great. I like to sleep in. So I'll come in around 11%. And you know, that's just fine. I get my work done. Everyone's very cool with that.
Slice Cafe, Slice I like a lot because they do like organic foods and it's a nice place to hang out. I'm actually meeting with my designer here today and we're talking over some of the designs that we're working on. And we like this place because it's very casual and it's kind of a laid-back atmosphere for us.
It's really a great place to work.
Okay, thank you very, very much for your attention today. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed today's lecture, and I will be very grateful and appreciative if you have any further questions to contact us at Singidunum University. Goodbye.